One, two, three, go.
Good morning, IGM. My name's Tom Lee. I serve E2. When Pastor came up to me a few months ago and said, Tom, I want you to go to Manila and do the SBO for seminary students and pastors, I was like, excuse me? Be quite honest with you, I've never done this without Pastor, let alone trying to do something like this by ourselves. It really was terrifying. The reason why we went to this SBO was because Pastor Bert had asked Pastor Shin if we could bring the vision, the strategy of the basket operation to a seminary school so that they could have some vision once they graduate in furthering their ministry. And he also wanted to bring some of the CTTP pastors so that they could also understand better why we're having this G10 system in Philippines right now. Even though I was nervous and I felt without Pastor that all the burden was on me, I really felt that I was really going with a bunch of warriors.
Sang Lee, first mission.
Hi, my name is Sang Lee. I've only been attending this church now about 8 months. I ended up going to this SBO mission. The first day we went there, we had a power outage actually, and Tom took that opportunity to use that time to pray. The funny thing is, the next day when I sat amongst the pastors to have a breakfast, he kept asking me, why we pulled the plug and played the trick, into having them pray like, that this was God's will, or something supernatural happened. They were very doubtful and suspicious of what we were doing there. And that's the kind of environment that we actually headed into. It was very discouraging initially. I didn't realize this at first, but it seems like there were pastors there that had congregations of 600, 700, 800 people. I mean, these guys were pastors of big churches, and they kept referring to me as Pastor Sang, which I thought was very odd. When I told them, I have family at home, I have a regular job, I think it took them by surprise. But at the same time, I wondered how they took it, hearing things from a lay person when they were pastors and seminary students. It was very hard to read what was going on in their mind. Again, at times it was very discouraging, but in the end, we saw that it wasn't really anything that I did or anything that I said, but truly God had made changes in their heart. And we recognized that when they gave their testimony at the end.
Gina almost didn't go because of Charity being so sick, and she even told Tay, I think my lecture, which is on oikos, which I think is the least important. Anybody else could do it if I don't go. But God shows us things that we don't see, and I think most of the candidates, based on their testimonies, got the most challenged, if you will, and most blessed by Gina's testimony on oikosing. Oikosing is not just about sharing the gospel, it's really about sacrificing. It's about giving the things that are hard for a person to give. And the Philippine people have a very hard time sacrificing time, sacrificing money, sacrificing even family. And Gina, by her example of just being there, sacrificed her child. Through her oikosing testimonies of how she reached out by serving, by spending the time and money that she really didn't have, to be able to share the love of God with others. And those elements of sacrifice and giving, these are ideas, not actual realities in what they actually practice. And I think that really, by her example and by her testimony, they were able to see, if we're gonna share the love of God, we're gonna have to sacrifice. And I think that really, especially the way she presented it, challenged and blessed everybody that was there.
The absolute highlight for me was that third day when we did our final day prayer. This God's presence was really powerful in that room, and I started breaking out, and my tongue was going on its own, and I haven't really experienced that. I started to really start shaking, and I was really connected to God, praying really hard until I noticed people falling over.
And as I thought about why God selected us to go for this particular SBO, and I don't really think it was really for the seminary students, the leaders, or the pastors, but it really was for us. I think God wanted to show us that if we could just have a little bit of faith, that He could do great things in our lives. And we talk about it's not really the capable person, but the available person. And I came away with a lot more confidence in the Lord. And I also realized how important it is to have spiritual brothers and sisters, to have a spiritual community where we could do something like this together. And it really allowed me to appreciate more of the people around me. And Sang's a great guy, but I think having shared this experience together, I don't know, man, I think I fell deeper in love with you, brother. Going on this SBO without a pastor, some of our comments from group members like Gina said this felt like going on a vacation without our parents. So that was a confidence boost for me. And there were comments like, I didn't think I could have so much fun with so many old people. Now, I don't know what old people Levine was talking about, but I must say we had a lot of fun on top of the great blessings that we received. And once again, we're just so thankful that God was with us. And thank you, IGM and Pastor Shin, for giving us the challenge for the glory of God.